Hello, everyone. It's 11:39 a.m. I not long ago woke up, so I think I got about 4 hours of sleep, more or less somewhere around there. But I'm feeling a little bit better um, after venting, and then I still was feeling bad for a while, but now I'm feeling a little bit better, and so it's well I was gonna do a video, but I forgot what the topic was gonna be or what I was gonna talk about. But it's like I'm just I don't know why my mind went completely blank because I had some stuff that I wanted to talk about, but my mind went blank. But I'm sorry in the past couple other videos if I sounded repetitive or I wasn't trying to be whiny and I wasn't trying to be attention seeking or childlike. I mean, I'm 37 years old and still have to hear lectures from people and, you know, dealing with narcissistic abuse, even from random strangers in society and who, try, like somebody who would be way younger than me and think that they can handle me like a rag doll or order me around and tell me what to do and handle me like like I shouldn't have to be 37 years old and traumatized by something a 14-year-old did or said to me. But even, you know, a complete stranger seems like even their mannerisms, like remember that man on the bus that tried to lecture me about the mask a couple of weeks ago? Imagine if he was like 14 years old trying to handle me like that or trying to talk to me like that. I mean, he was an older man, but even that hurt. But if he'd be like 14 years old or younger than me, I mean, even if he's like 29, 30 years old, or even like 35, you know, because I don't see other people in society get treated the way I get treated. And I said, a lot of times that I thought all this persecution and abuse that I get is, you know, I thought that this persecution that I get is, um, because of my disability, but I didn't know it was because of narcissistic abuse and me being a targeted individual. I don't know if I can. Let me hold on right quick. So they have this website called Luke 17 and 3 Ministries. I remember this website from a few years ago. Um, and it's called Luke 17 and 3 Ministries.org. And it talks about, all right, because in the Bible of Luke 17:3. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm coming. Um, okay. My finger hurts. My finger hurts right here, and I don't know why. Um, so it's Luke verses 17. I mean Luke chapter 17 verses 3 and 4 says, "Take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him, and if he repent, forgive him. And if he trespass thee 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day turn again to thee, saying, I repent, thou shalt forgive him." But I know people who be like narcissistic abusers. They say that God forgives, but I don't. Like as if they're superior to God by saying God forgives but I don't. Like, and I said before that I grew up around so many grudgeful, unforgiving people, and I thought it was a fake IDMR cult thing. That the fake IDMR cult people, they don't forgive or they don't believe in forgiveness. The fake foster mom would tell me that people have a right to grudge against me and stuff like that. And certain people, their facial expressions and their mannerisms, trigger me, along with their lectures, with narcissistic abusers. It seemed like it triggered me and stuff like that. Um, and so I know that a lot of adults these days, even in their 50s, they work a certain job, and the majority of the time it is just me, but I've heard a couple of instances where adults might work at a certain job and a 19-year-old try to order them around and tell them what to do. But they're seen by society as mentally normal, so that younger 19-year-old will humble themselves and back off against the 53-year-old who they're trying to handle or boss around. But somebody like me, my attempts at trying to handle a 19-year-old seem like it either doesn't work or get me in more trouble, you know. But it's like I can never properly, tell somebody off or put them in their place. And it's like when I try to tell somebody off or put them in their place, it's made to look like as if I'm acting just like them or I'm getting on their level. Well, you tell me to fight back, but I'm trying what I can to put as best as I know how to put them in their place. But they're always gonna feel like they can dog over me and see me as weaker. So on this website, the Luke 17 and 3 ministries.org is more like Luke 173, Luke 173 ministries, more like, and it said adult child abuse is the only abuse still accepted. Adult child abuse, the only form of abuse still tolerated by society, accepted by society, condoned by society. The only form of abuse in which the victim is openly discouraged from standing up for herself, talking about it, or revealing the abuse to others. Expected to continue suffering indefinitely, criticized for trying to protect herself, judged for escaping from her abuser. The only form of abuse in which it is considered okay for a competent adult to be controlled by someone else, have no independence or right to run her own life or make her own decisions, be held hostage to the whims or desires of another, have no freedom of choice, child abuse that not in, child abuse that did not end when the adulthood began. The continuing victimization of grown children by their abusive or controlling parents, siblings, or family members. Silence condones abuse. The truth shall set you free. And so, you know, I may be disabled, but I'm college educated, and this is this is me totally. This is totally all Candy Grandpre. That if and that's I mean I don't believe in grudges and not forgiving, but I have a problem moving on if I'm still being hurt and abused. But something big, I mean, or if it's like if I've got an abuse from people and still haven't gotten any closure and still suffering. And a lot of us targeted individuals, they said over 70% of us is female. And so, but I see more guys act like as if they're so heavily targeted and they're more outspoken than the females. And they say this is part of eugenics and depopulation. And plus, the New World Order mind control experiments with MK Ultra and everything. And it ties in with Freemasonry, witchcraft, New Age movement, all those things. So it's like the fact that my childhood abuse carried on to adulthood, and then I move in different cities and states and still still handled and abused in ways that it seems reminiscent of what I went through in foster care. And, me being singled out, and I know that other adults get treated a certain way as a result of workplace bullying. And say if it's a man who's a victim of workplace mobbing, and then he'll come home and be angry and take it out on his wife, and he might do something like turn to alcoholism in order to cope with what he's going through and stuff like that. It's not fair. I don't know why my middle finger right here, this part, it hurts so bad. I don't know why. And nothing bit me or anything, but I don't know why this part hurts. So it's like the idea, I didn't grow up being encouraged to forgive by the foster family, but outsiders like maybe nursery people or daycare people or people we went to school with or something, they would probably be like, well, forgive and forget. But some people be like, I forgive, but I don't never forget. So, and then even me and my own twin sister had conversations that we had, that we had, that we didn't know what the true real meaning of forgiveness is, because the fact that if we call ourselves forgiving the abusers who bullied us growing up, or even other certain relationships in society or friendships, and some people say that for you can forgive, but you don't necessarily have to reconcile. But some people say that forgiveness is for you and not that person, and they say it's for your healing and for your soul. And people say that if you suffer bitterness, that you end up with all kinds of health problems, because it's like I mean, in 2014, after studying the Bible some and reading certain Christian websites and about forgiveness and stuff like that, despite even after dealing with spiritual abuse from certain churches, and and it's like, how the hell you walk up into a church and people who profess to serve the Lord, but they have a secular, worldly type of attitude and hatred towards you. And then, you know, people be like, yeah, that's why people like your church don't even like you. Like, as if it's thrown in my face at every opportunity, that's why this person don't like you. That's why nobody like you. And that's why you can't get a boyfriend. That's why you can't get any friends and stuff like that. And, I tried to make amends with all my family back then in 2014. And I have certain family members I hadn't contacted in, quite a few years, and even in 2015. But my nephew Raymond, I'm surprised he acted like he was excited to hear from me. But, I still felt awkward and like afraid to connect with him or get close to him. And my cousin, Daryl Jr., who they call Do, when he there was a point in time when in 2015, he was calling me quite a bit, and even you know a couple of times after that. But now it seemed like after what we went through in 2018, and then I tried to ask for his forgiveness. One time we were on the bus, and and he made a big scene, and the bus driver got mad at me only and yelled at me, and falsely accused me of bothering him. And she threatened to kick only me off the bus and not both of us. But even the biological family, they're grudgeful and unforgiving and stuff like that. All of them. And so, and the biological sister Ramona be like, "I ain't nobody got time for grudges." But she'll be the first to hold a grudge against you for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, over the silliest shit. If she still call herself being mad at me because I call her, evil and satanic and twisted and retarded during an argument, but all the freaking names she called me, and I'm just sick and tired of fake people, narcissistic abusers who don't have a mind or personality of their own. They're not original, and a lot of them, they always want to copy off of other people. Just because Yvonne treated me a certain way the day before, and you just want to take advantage of, mocking and copying what she did to me. And drunk lady Yvonne always, there was a point in time she was trying to tell me, you have to forgive, you have to forgive. Well, why is she still grudging and want nothing to do with me? And they tell me what to do or what not to do, and they don't practice what they preach. If they tell me not to do something and then they do it, or they tell me to do something but they're not doing it. If you want me to see a psychiatrist and take medicine but you're not doing it and you don't have my best interests at heart. But narcissistic control freak abusers want you so medicated so bad so that they can get over on controlling you and manipulating you, because they know that when you're not on those psych medications, that you fight back and stand up for yourself. And it seems like I would feel upset and angry at myself that I couldn't have the upper hand over them and get the revenge that I would, wish that I can get, But it's like certain things I just learned, a few years ago. And certain things I've just learned a few years ago. And so, and I wish that people would have patience and understanding about me being spiritually knocked off. I mean, me feeling spiritually knocked off from spiritual abuse a few years ago. And then I'm just trying to recently come back. I mean, I never totally left Jesus, but I still had him in my heart. But it's like, I mean, I never, I mean, it's like I just slacked off a lot on reading the Bible and praying, and then you know, be distracted with homelessness or distracted with this targeting and gang stalking or whatever harassment going on. And then I come back and I realize, well, wow, I haven't read the Bible in a whole month. It made me feel like a failure. Or I haven't prayed in 6 weeks. Wow. So then it's more like that, but not that I intentionally and on purpose, oh, I'm not going to serve God no more, and then actually do it. But, sometimes I might get spiritually discouraged and frustrated. And, but it's only for a small and temporary moment that I feel discouraged and frustrated, you know, I have to remember that there's tares among the wheat and wolves in sheep's clothing who just, put on an image. But my narcissistic, mentally slow, crazy biological family, they would, try to smear campaign and falsely accuse me of being a fake and a pretender when I'm sincerely trying to better myself and just feel weak and don't really have any supportive, strong Christians, friends to, fellowship with, or it seemed like it would be like a narcissistic, control freak, fake friend with coerced Bible reading, plus them condemning and blaming me for my circumstances of what I've gone through, you know, and um, it's like I always used to apologize and ask for forgiveness growing up, but then had to deal with so many people being like, yeah, and I don't want to hear none of your sorries neither, and you know they will stay mad and stay grudgeful, but and it's being like a small argument that they deliberately choose to make it escalate and get worse because they trying to set me up to get locked up in a mental institution or jail, and it didn't work because when they can't get the control out of me, they want to make jail threats or threats to get me locked up in a mental institution and try to handle me like a rag doll and have zero respect. Like they got their foot on my neck with no mercy at all. No mercy, not letting up. And the majority of the times, and a lot of the times, they started by trying to perk me or bully, harass, and laugh at me. And when I try to stand up to what the dirty things that they try to do, you know, sorry if I not unwanted thoughts, but it's like I'm trying to, you know, even professed Christians have held like long grudges against me with certain situations. If they say they love the Lord and they would hold long grudges against me, you know, and I would try to, comprehend, if I mean, I never really got, let's see, I don't think I ever got kicked out of or banned from a church. And I'm surprised that I lasted so long at the fake Hell's Way church. Um, but every day I'll be like, well, wow. And it was before I realized I was any targeted individual. But I'm like, well, wow, I'm not kicked out yet, or I'm not banned yet. Eric didn't ban me yet. or Eric didn't kick me out yet, but but they certainly at these churches. Oh wait, yeah, it wasn't the pastor himself, but it was the fake security and other people who act like they had the authority to run me off from the from the Island Baptist Church, that big mega church, and they have certain church people who are cruel enough. Like when I went to take the Greyhound bus, and in these Latin churches and the Asian churches in Los Angeles or wherever, the Hispanic churches and the Asian churches, those are the meanest and most. They be like abusive and cruel unnecessarily. Like if you go knock on a church door and you've been walking for like 4 hours, they won't allow you to use the bathroom, and they give you this strongly prejudiced ass kind of attitude, and won't let you use the bathroom, or they won't let you drink any water. I mean, they won't give you any water to drink. People might be like, well, they don't have to. No, if you serving God, yes, God will command you to especially. I mean, and you don't even know if this person is a brother or sister in Christ. But in Los Angeles, at that Glory Church of Jesus Christ or something like that on Washington Avenue, downtown Los Angeles, off of Washington and Figueroa, I think. And they had like, no, or is it by Washington and Broadway? And they have the Blue Line train that runs there. And it's not Washington Station, but it's the next one. Can't think of the name of that station right there on the Blue Line in LA, in Los Angeles. So I've seen the Latin churches where black people would come and try to go to the food bank, and they would get turned away just for being black. And I've had, I've seen at that church and certain other churches where the certain church members would act very stingy and vicious over the fruits and vegetables and over the food, and won't really allow me to have any. And they take and they hoard everything. And it's like, well, I feel so out of place. And here I'm, in order for me to get this food, I have to be forced to sit through this church service and then still be treated with racism, and nobody really is welcoming me. It's like I'm pretty much non-existent. And I'm sitting here, listening to the church sermons in Spanish. And if you go to a Korean church, they straight up kick you out for not being Korean. What if I don't know Korean, but the thing is, if I see Korean writing on the wall, I don't know what it's saying, but I can tell by the letters, I can tell it's Korean, but I can't really tell Chinese from Japanese writing. But I just about know Korean writing when I see it, but I don't know what it's saying. And I had never sat down and learned or studied Korean or anything like that. But y'all, y'all make sure y'all go to a Korean restaurant. It's Korean or Thai restaurant. You know. So, and I come to find out I like Vietnamese food too. So the foster mom tried to bully, harass, and lecture me, telling me that Vietnamese food is nasty. So like, well, just because you feel like it's nasty, and then she's like, Candy, I'm telling you, Vietnamese food is nasty. So it's like, well, it's just nasty to you. I mean, motherfucker, you sit up here and eat Chinese food any day. So I said I want to try the Vietnamese food, and she, got mad at me like as if I committed blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. Just for wanting to venture out and try something new and try something different. And, try different cuisines and different food. And I question, I wonder how come okay, it's the rare occasion that they will have Jamaican food, or even more rare to have Brazilian food. Y'all need to try Brazilian barbecue. I think it's even better than Korean barbecue and Thai barbecue. But um, I'm wondering, like, how come there aren't really any African restaurants? If I would like to try Kenyan food or something like that, or try Sudanese food or something, or yeah, that other guy, that African guy that's supposed to be a targeted individual. I think he's from Sudan, not Uganda. But what if I want to try Nigerian food, or um, let me think of what other African country. Um, is it Zambia or something like that? So I'm wondering. I don't know if they have, or if there's like an all-inclusive kind of African cuisine restaurant where there's different African foods from different countries or something, or they might, like, certain Latin restaurants will be not just Mexican, but it might be Mexican, Guatemalan, and Salvadorian, or even throw in a mix of Honduran food and stuff like that. But only once in my life I got to try Puerto Rican food and Dominican farina. Wow. Costa Rican food, I've been to Costa Rica. Again, wow. That salsa lisano, I love it. But then come to find out, I didn't realize it was monopolized, or it's like one of those main foods from it's one of those main foods like Mondelez food that's kind of similar to the Mondelez Corporation, that's associated with, let's see, Mondelez, with like Nabisco and stuff like that, and Kraft Foods and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, I thought Salsa Lisano was its own independent. I mean, and the flavor, even that Salsa Lisano, the flavor even changed in the Salsa Lisano, because it would used to taste more pure and natural. And even in Costa Rica, the pork I mean, because Hispanics eat pork. Yes, they do. They love pork. And so if they eat, the pork in Costa Rica, the food tastes cleaner and more natural than, the food tastes cleaner and more natural than here in America. And the Costa Rican host mom would mock and make fun of our American culture. You know how other countries like to mock and make fun of us Americans being too fat and overweight and everything. But they still eat their 3 meals a day too. And Hispanics in Latin America, they eat late. But I see Hispanics, they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables as well. But it's like me living in LA and try to go to Los Angeles and try to go to one of those fruit stands on the streets, and you refuse to sell anything to me because I'm not Mexican, and you don't know English, and you feel threatened and intimidated by me, and you're that freaking racist. And so I remember living in Los Angeles and having to deal with, I didn't even realize that those mass amounts of Hispanics or Mexican, Guatemalan, Salvadorian, that they would treat me a certain way due to gang stalking. And even in Costa Rica in 2005, before Hurricane Katrina, it's like I didn't realize the Costa Ricans huddled together and wanted nothing to do with me. And even the host mom, treated me a certain way that they wanted to make sure my Costa Rica trip was not memorable. And that narcissistic white teacher who delusionally believes she's Mexican, her name was Elaine Brooks. And they call her Dr. Brooks, but I don't give that bitch credit to be any kind of doctor. You don't deserve it. And so, fraudster Brooks smear campaigned me and got in everybody's head. And, in Costa Rica, the Costa Rican host mom would, I don't know, it just made me sad all over again. That it was a memory that was supposed to be memorable. It was supposed to be memorable and a lasting, a lasting memory in a good way. But the only good memories or positive memories I have is with nature in Costa Rica. With people, dealing with narcissistic abuse and gang stalking, and I didn't even realize it. And it's like the freaking gang stalking carried over to Costa Rica, that the other Americans from University of New Orleans, who were the students or staff there, were perping me and treating me mean. And the Costa Rican host mom would falsely accuse me twice. She threatened to kick me out of her house and falsely accused me of uh, shoving a diaper down the toilet. And she said, in Spanish, un pamper. You know, how Americans, some people say pampers, not diapers, but pampers. So she falsely accused me twice, once at the beginning and once at the end. And I'm wondering why she keep falsely accusing me of doing this. And I didn't realize, it was part of the gang stalking. And then, the so I don't understand why would I do something like that? I never did anything like that here in America, and I never gotten accused of doing something like that here in America. So why would I go and do that in Costa Rica? And then the lady, her son Mariano, was my age, and a couple of times he drove me to the store, drove me places, but most of the time he steered clear and far away from me. But when I first got to Costa Rica, the host mom acted like she loved me. But then shortly after, she would play all kinds of psychological and mental games and treat me mean and stuff like that. And then one time she even tried to call me greedy and tell me I eat too much and stuff. Well, bitch, you the one who freaking feed me so much food. You know, I and she'll feed me a certain amount of food and she'll ask me, is this enough? And I say, yeah, and I eat it. But I hate when, even in Los Angeles, I dealt with people who would give me an exorbitant amount of food and then call me greedy, you know, and then sit there and watch and laugh. And it's like, but then again, I also hate at the same time of people who try to restrict and control how much I eat, you know, or play all kinds of psychological games. I mean, y'all have seen what I go through about people giving me the half a bowl of grits or half a cup of orange juice and stuff, and call it standard portion. And then, when I get mad, it seems like there's nothing that can be done about it. And it's like people just keep getting away with this evil. And so, but you don't dictate how much I eat, and especially if I'm paying for it. You don't have that authority. And you're 19 years old and think you have the authority to gang up on me and bully me at a damn Dunkin' Donuts or at a store at the mall and stuff like that. And they have their noses turned up like they think they're so mature and they don't even humble themselves. And narcissistic abusers, they hate the victim sitting around all day talking about their abuse. But stop hurting me, and I'll stop talking about it. Everybody need to stop hurting me. And so it takes for you to talk about it and get it out and get some support and closure, and then that can help you heal and move on. But I know I need healing, in prayer and Bible reading and stuff like that. But it's like it also would be some extra help to have, supposed body of Christ or brethren, you know, to be supportive to anybody, because they have hurting people in the church. They have battered people in the church, and sometimes people in the church, in the body of Christ, that are people making like as if I'm the only one in the world who can't let stuff go, and they be like, and narcissistic abuse and be like, and you keep going on and on and on and on and on, or you keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, or they'll compare you like a hamster to a hamster on a wheel, or say that you keep going around in circles and circles, and I'm just tired of feeling psychologically and mentally and emotionally battered and beat down and, shunned. But I'm on my road to healing. I never said that I healed. And so, in 2014, I tried to make amends with the biological family members and wonder why they all huddled together and ignoring all my calls and everything. And it's like, well, what do y'all have to be mad at me for? Y'all haven't seen me or heard from me in years. And so, because after what Ramona did to me in 2010, and I had that suicide attempt, I don't even remember. After that, I don't remember talking to her. And, just feeling let down by your own family, when your family thrive off of your mental health crisis and refuse to be supportive, and they're just oppressive. And, if they are oppressive and refuse to be supportive, but then they talk about how blacks can't get along or blacks do their own the worst. But white people, they get support for their family for mental health. But it's like people being considered disabled, you get treated the worst when it's considered an invisible disability. Because people want to be like, well, how are you disabled? But you're the first one to act like you pick up on the idea that I'm quote unquote mentally slow and retarded. If you think I'm mentally slow and retarded and can't think for myself, and I just wish people would understand where I'm coming from, rather than judging me as always negative or always complaining, or that I should let stuff go when it's easier for y'all, because y'all, we each have different backgrounds, dealing with severe narcissistic. I mean, a lot of y'all so-called targeted individuals didn't grow up in a cult. A lot of y'all grew up with your family. A lot of y'all, had jobs, nice cars, a lot of money and everything. And, it's like if y'all had, pretty much the world, and people like me never stood a chance. And, for me to go numerous months of my life and numerous years living off of under 100. I mean, off of under $1,000, or even living under 750 a month every month for years. So me put in this predicament, and just trying to see a way to permanent housing, because I really don't want roommates, but I'm hoping that if this thing with this lady, if it might be temporary, and then I can get my own place. But it's like certain people can get closure and move on because they have supportive people in their corner, and that's why they're better able to let their situation go. But if you ain't got nobody in your corner, or nobody really supportive, and they just kicking you down even harder, and they condemn you and say that you compare yourself to other people. I've been told that for years. But it's like people, now I have my answer, just targeting, but people question why my circumstance is not normal. Even people who don't know about this targeting, if they wonder how you have a college degree, a bachelor's degree, and you homeless and can't get a job nowhere, that don't compute. That's how they be like. Or make like I got some explaining to do. Or they just jump to conclusion and assume that, oh yeah, you burned your bridges from all your family. No, all that, the voodoo, witchcraft, narcissistic family doing nothing but perping me, foster and biological. And how the hell am I wrong or burning my bridges when I broke away from cults, broke away from the mental health system, broke away from the programming and control and abuse. And so, it seemed like as if people like the biological sister Ramona wanted nothing to do with me. And Ramona and Wyatt and Mark, they seem like as if they quote unquote don't fuck with you until or unless you got a lot of money and doing right with your life. And then they parasitically drain you out of every penny. And certain other family members too, that they don't want shit to do with you when you're down. But when you are doing financially well, they want to kiss your ass and be your best friend. But now they're living great. And ever since after Hurricane Katrina, I mean, I thought before Katrina, I thought my family was so poor. But now it seems like they're doing very well with their life. And they abuse and hurt me and treat me mean or stay distant from me based on lies and false rumors. Never get to know the real Candy Grandpre. And people making it like as if I'm talking crazy by saying this, but it's the truth. That I haven't even been given a fair chance for family members to get to know me, biological family members, and they just, I mean, and it's like they're reprobate enough to mock and laugh at the idea of any reconciliation. That's a joke to them, that I'm clearly not related. But here they have a stranger that they just met 4 days ago, and they can, glorify them as family and include them and, take pictures with them. I'm forbidden or not allowed to take pictures of certain family members, or I'm not allowed to know their phone number or address, not allowed to go over there, not allowed to spend time with them. It's like, I don't know what been said about me to make it look like as if I'm such a fucking sick creep and weirdo. But I know, I know what was said about me. But this happens too much. But it's like hard for me to continue to talk. We all get distracted by the noise campaigns. And they play too damn much. They got taxpayer money to waste to do that. How about you take the taxpayer money used to perp us and stop perping us, and use that taxpayer money to how about you use that taxpayer money to give us, you know, what we deserve as targeted individuals. We all of us targeted individuals, we all are robbed of what we deserve, and what we deserve and what we're entitled to, and what we should be entitled to. How do perps who are seen as demon and not human, how do they have more rights than we do? And even some targeted individuals will just lay back and be complacent and not fighting back. And they think that you should just shut up and focus on the Lord and don't focus on anything else. Or they'll falsely believe that, all you got to do is read your Bible and pray, and it will take all this targeting away. But they say you're supposed to be stronger, that they're supposed to make you stronger rather than break you. But people don't tell you, when they tell you to ignore, I said it before, they don't tell you in a loving way, or in a way that they want you to, stop being tormented. But they'll make it like as if you're tormenting yourself, or you're doing this to yourself, or you're hurting yourself. And it's like another way of victim blaming. So it's like it seems like if the victim is always blamed, it seems like if you're always blamed, then if a victim is always blamed, then that also makes it harder for them to heal and recover, and always told that they're wrong and that the perpetrator is always in the right, or they have all these rights to do whatever harm and abuse to you. And I see other targeted individuals, they'll just do videos and talk about their gang stalking experiences, but they don't do video. Not that they have to, because each one's own. But I think I might be the only crazy lone dumbass who just, do videos venting and talking about past abuse growing up, and abuse in foster care. And I don't have, the full solution. But if I was, if I wasn't sleep deprived, I could have, and if I would have known even then, I could have gotten everything, out of the way with certain writing projects. But, it is very hard for somebody who's disabled and emotionally sensitive. And some people some people be like, they roll their eyes and say that it's just a label, for autism or Asperger's syndrome. But their abuse made me like this. And so people act like as if I'm supposed to just snap out of it and grow up and mature within instantly, that I should instantly just snap out of it and shut up and forget about it and ignore and, be mature. And it's like a freaking rehab, a rehabilitation for me to learn. But it's more of a spiritual thing, with God's help, not a freaking so-called rehabilitation with mental health therapy, where they're just going to do more victim blaming and abuse and kicking you down and crushing you like an aluminum can. And so it's like a lot of people believe the so-called experts of mainstream medicine, and they act like something is wrong with you for They act like something's wrong with you for looking up symptoms of what you're going through. So I'm gonna see y'all later. All right, bye.